Okay, let's see here. I know what I am doing. Okay. Three people have entered the room. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me see here. Sorry everyone. I think okay, let's admit everyone. Okay, admit. Hello. Hi everybody. Let's see. How is it going? Aaron is connecting. Cannot hear you yet. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Do I know what I'm doing? Okay, let me see here. Zoom. Okay, connecting.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Hi, it's Patrick here. Can everyone hear and see okay?
Yep.
Let's see. Hi, Mr.
Hello.
Tessier. Hi
How
there.
are you, Patrick? Hi, Chris.
Hey, Tom.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, and yourself?
Hi.
Mr. Tessier.
Good. So great to see you guys. And first off, I want to share my utmost thanks with you, Mr. Tessier, for joining us today, for your time and just for being here. Really excited and greatly honored for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Happy to be with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's see. Maybe I'll kind of start it. I think we have everyone in here. We got Fletcher, we got Mike, we got Chris, Matt, and Aaron. All right, nice. And Tom. Great. Aaron's my friend. Really cool. We've been friends for a while here from an old book club, and she was the first one I kind of started the idea of a book club for your works specifically to go through them all, and so she kind of helped launch it here by my kind of co-chair in the idea of everything,
Great,
and these wonderful gentlemen have joined along and become good friends and experiencing your works. And yeah, it's been wonderful. And with having Chris here from the World of Hurt podcast, I'm greatly a huge fan of what's going on there, and we're really looking forward to more too as well.
Yeah,
Is there
can't wait.
any
We're coming.
news on that? Like any updates? New episode in the works, or?
Yeah, we have at least 2 episodes that are already partially different states of being done. They'll be being released before the end of the year.
Oh, wonderful!
That'll be the Banshee, and the other one I believe is going to be Torching the Escalade. Not 100% on that, but we've locked in the talent, and we should have time to do that. So that'll
okay.
be it's already been recorded. The Banshee. Is that all right if I announce that, Tom?
Absolutely. And don't forget to mention that it's being narrated by a great horror writer, Chet Williamson.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, big fans
voiceover
of
master.
Chet Williamson. Yeah, I
So
really liked Soulstorm. Yeah.
He was kind enough to do a great job narrating the Banshee. So that one's in post-production right now, getting the music and sound by Jordan Peer done for that. And then Patrick Renna, who you guys might know as the chubby kid from the Sandlot movies. He has become a big fan of Tom's work. We have a few things that we're developing together involving Tom's work, and he wants to narrate the next story after Chet. So we should get that in the we don't have that in the can yet, but it's in the works. We should have that done soon.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's exciting news. Really great to hear. Oh boy. Let's see. Does anyone? Let me see. I didn't really have like a set plan, of a conversation, like an interview per se, but I just wanted to go in with my little. My reason here on doing it, I was a little late to the Tom Tessier party. I had heard your name throughout all the years. I've been reading horror since the since about the mid 90s, 95, 96. I started reading regularly and seeing your works and always seeing the blurbs, you know, from Stephen King and Peter Straub and Ramsey Campbell and everyone. And I don't know why I had waited so long, but it was just year before last that I had read Phantom. Was my first one of yours that I read, and I was just I was so blown away and mesmerized by so much that there was to take away. How many layers, how much beautiful writing, how many things struck me that I was like, right from reading that first one, I was like, wow, like I've found someone, an incredibly special visionary horror writer here. And right from the first one, I had the idea like, okay, there needs to be like a book club, like for these works to be dissected, you know. And then in reading my second one, Rapture, that was the one that that really did it for me. That became like it's one of my favorite horror novels of all time. And we just reread that. We read that as a group in here on June. That was our second group read.
Can
So
I
we
ask,
did
just have you guys read Phantom also, or no? Have you not? Or no one
no,
else? Okay.
no, yeah, you have, right, Chris?
Oh, sure. Well, yes. But
Yeah,
I'm just
you,
curious if you guys had, because I agree with what you're saying. I just wanted to comment. And when I read
yeah, yeah,
Phantom, I thought this is amazing that this author knows so much what it's like to be a kid. And then you read
yes,
Rapture, and you're like, this author knows so much what it's like to be a psychopath.
yes.
And it's amazing.
Yes, exactly. I was gonna ask that. And Rapture, while we were talking, Mr. Tessier, was there any real life inspiration that had to do with in the creation of Rapture of our main character, or was there something real life or something specific that inspired you and that story to write that one?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. First off, knock off the Mr. Tessier stuff. Okay.
Okay, I'll try.
Tom, Tom. Yeah, Rapture was a bit of a change of direction for me, I think, because I just finished writing a particularly nasty horror story called Finishing Touches.
Mhm.
And thank you, Chris.
Available on audiobook from 1 in 10 Arts.
It stands.
Um, and where I live in Connecticut, I'm about 35 miles north of New Haven, where there are a lot of bookstores. There's Yale and a couple of other colleges. My wife and I first lived there when we got married for a year and a half, 2 years before we moved over to Dublin, Ireland for a while.
Oh,
But New Haven had a lot of bookstores, and including some pretty good used bookstores. So every so often, I like to take a drive down for the better part of a day, just traipse around the bookstores, get a good pizza somewhere, pick up some books, and drive home. On my way driving down to New Haven that morning, I went through a town where I had grown up about 15 miles away. It was right on the road. And I drove past a house where a girl I knew in high school had lived. And I had the sort of usual thoughts everybody has sometimes. Gee, I wonder what happened to so-and-so. Well,
right.
nothing had happened to so-and-so, but it got me thinking because the house was for sale. And on my way back from New Haven, I started thinking about it again. When I got to the house, I just on a whim, basically, I drove up the driveway to the house. You could see through the windows that it was empty. There was actually somebody working there. And I think I pretty much recounted that incident
Yeah, that's right out of Rapture. My goodness.
in Rapture. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
So there was really nothing to see. And so I went on and drove home the rest of the way, probably about 15, 20 more minutes. And by the time I got home, it occurred to me, it can't be that unusual to look up old classmates. But what if that classmate was a really bad guy? And what if he had the means and the time to do whatever he wanted to do?
Mhm.
And
Right.
basically the story just tumbled from there.
Interesting.
It
Great
kind
question. I never knew that. That's awesome. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that the writing, that was probably the fastest and easiest novel of any of them that I've written.
Hmm.
It
Oh, really?
just
Out
came,
of all of them?
yes, it just
Oh,
flowed right
wow.
out after that.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, I just and even in the rereading of it, that's one that I go even to like my non-horror fans and stuff that, you know, just like, you know, suspense, psychological driven ones, that I just tell them that this the power in this writing is just I mean, it's just mind blowing. I read so many of them, and I haven't read one that touches into that level of like the human psyche and the just how many interesting facets that we had in the discussion too of all the different ways that it could be perceived with Georgianne and her
Yeah,
daughter, and how they what his motives what really were, you know, what where it lied, how bad
right.
was he from the beginning. There's so many just like just such an interesting such a textured, wonderful psychological horror novel that yeah,
And such
big fan.
his fluid morality, how, you know, how he felt about things, who was in the right and wrong, how he justified all of his choices, and
Right.
he made himself right and all. It was really, I thought it was brilliant. I loved reading that.
Well, thanks.
Absolutely.
I think it was where I thought of it all along as a horror story, but it was, I think I was just totally away from anything supernatural, uh, the sort of usual horror tropes. And I'm starting to focus a lot more on the horror within human beings
Right.
and how
Yeah,
it surfaces.
that's wonderful. That was that was saying that Rapture, that was the first non-supernatural novel you had written at that point.
Well, I think I started to go in that direction with the previous novel, Finishing Touches.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
There's not really a supernatural element, although there's a sort of fantasy, fantastic kind of part of,
Surreal. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think it was Rapture was just moving more in that direction.
We're not hearing you, Patrick. I'm not.
Neither am I.
No, we're not hearing you.
Would you repeat that?
Here, can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, sorry about that. I think it might have connected to Bluetooth or something there. And the
Right.
car, my wife was sorry about that. I was my bad. On you're not on Finishing Touches. That was our first group read, and we had based on the Valancourt republishing them in the paperbacks from Hell editions of Rapture and Finishing Touches. I thought that was a really exciting thing. You know, a big fan of you know, Grady Hendrix and Will Erickson, what they've done, and the boys at Valancourt bringing
Yeah,
those back.
so am
Yeah,
I.
yeah.
Fantastic.
They're bringing back some excellent titles, and that's kind of how we had started it, basing on which ones that we're going to read. I had known that we wanted to go at a slow, steady pace, you know, not overcommit, you know, would go with your novels, because there is so much to take away of doing them at about a quarter a pace, you know, not like a monthly read or too big of a commitment to
Yeah.
fully go through them all, but fully absorb the entire works, you know, with working on a World of Hurt and the, you know, story version and the podcast as it goes along, you know, to to get the full world of Thomas Tessier per se.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, my pleasure. And on finishing touches, Chris was saying something about Paul Giamatti that excuse me, oh wait, here we got Mark G here. Let me enter him in. We've got Mark, hold on one second here. See if it makes us 7. Hi, Mark, are you there? Let me see. Okay. Oh, whoops. What am I doing? I'm sorry, everyone. I am not good at Zoom or this stuff. Virtual backgrounds. No. Let's get that out of here. Can we just get back? You see, Chris? Okay. Okay. It might be waiting for him, but
yeah, he might have to accept. Yeah, before Paul is a big fan of Tom's, and he was kind enough to do one of the episodes of the podcast. I just think he'd make a wonderful Dr. Nordhagen. That's all. He didn't. Yeah. Paul didn't express anything like that.
No, I know that. That's what I was. That's what I was trying to spit out there. Thank you, Chris. That I thought that was incredible that he narrated Blanca on the world of hurt, like such an exciting name and just wonderful beloved actor. And I remember Chris mentioning that he would think he would make a wonderful Dr. Nordhagen from Finishing Touches, and I just wanted to concur that and also ask if if you would be open to the idea of of your novels becoming actual films, like adaptations, any recent ones.
Sure. Well, I'd love it if somebody, got to the point where they actually made one. I've had over the years, Rapture actually was made into what turned out to be a made for TV movie.
Oh, really?
Back in around 1990, 92, somewhere in there.
Yeah, 93, I think,
yeah.
Oh, wow. I never saw that. Okay.
Karen Allen from very well-known actress, and Michael Ontkean were the two main leads in that film.
Michael Ontkean was in Slapshot in the 80s. He was a bigger deal back then.
He was the sheriff,
Twin Peaks,
Harry
right?
Truman in Twin Peaks.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna say. I knew that. Yeah, okay.
And Karen Allen from Indiana Jones.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay. Interesting. It
was a made-for-TV movie. It's not. I don't think Tom loves it very much. It's not a great adaptation. They did butcher it for television. Imagine doing that at PG, PG, and taking anything objectionable.
A lifetime Rapture. No, that's crazy. That's wild.
Well,
I would have never thought.
The best I could say is that it paid well.
Yeah,
that's
that's of course that's wonderful. But I would just I would love to I'd love to see it, like somebody like a Mike Flanagan or Guillermo del Toro, of a high caliber, an actual studio film done right, of one of your wonderful there's so many of them feel quite cinematic to me, and with the right adapted screenplay and the right director and creative cast, I can see magic in some of them, that would be really special. That'd be so
I
cool.
certainly agree with you, and I have thought this for a long time. And a big part of my motivation for doing the audiobooks and the podcast is to use as a device to help sell people without having to make them read books, because people in Hollywood don't like to do that.
Right.
So I have been working on developing some things and had meeting on these things. So I'm trying to get those things happening as well from where I sit. There's a bunch of them that would be amazing films. Finishing Touches is very high on that list.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. That one I loved it. Just picturing some of the scenes and that one, that one really stood out. Even the Night Walker would be incredible on film. That would be brilliant. We haven't done that one as a group yet, but excited for it.
I wanted to play that role for 30 years. Now I'm too old, so I have to rewrite it. But absolutely, Night Walker is an amazing.
Yeah, Night Walker has actually been optioned for film more times than anything that I've written.
Oh yeah.
Over the years, steadily, somebody wants to give it a try, And I would give them an option for a year, and a year would pass, and no, they couldn't get it. They couldn't get it going. So,
Oh yeah. Oh,
but
that's too
Chris will.
bad.
Maybe I will. Yeah, Dennis Paoli. Some of you might know is the writer of Reanimator, the recent film Suitable Flesh that I was involved in, and
Oh
anything
yeah.
he has been involved, and we've been working with him doing an updated outline on the Nightwalker to try to get this off the ground as well. So
Oh wow.
we add us to the list of people trying to get Nightwalker going. Hopefully we can.
You will.
That is exciting.
It will.
Yeah. Let's see. How about let's hear at Fletcher, or Mike, or Matt, or Aaron. You guys want to hop in and
Sure. Mr. Tessier, sorry, Tom. Very nice to meet you. My question is, so far I've read Fogheart, Rapture, and Finishing Touches, and I noticed they all have this villain that's kind of outwardly very successful. He's kind of, one's a doctor, and then the other two are these kind of business guys. Is there something about that sort of archetype that really appeals to you for writing villains?
I think it's because those kinds of people are the psychopaths are driven, they're control oriented, and I remember, oh gosh, back in the 80s, I read a psychology book by a book by a psychologist, which is basically, I think the book was actually called Psychopaths or The Psychopath. And he pointed out that all kinds of people are very successful psychopaths. Politicians, businessmen, religious leaders. The most prominent people that we only have to look around to see. Unfortunately, the psychopath is more often to be, I think, that kind of a person with a lot of success under their belt and means to carry out or further explore where their psychopathy is taking them. Tony Perkins in Psycho is the exact opposite of that. He's the guy living in his mother's basement who has no life at all. And I found that kind of image of a psychopath as very narrow. I didn't see a whole lot of room to explore with that. And I found with the character of Jeff in Rapture that just to make him a very successful businessman, and you have to be very driven, ruthless to a certain degree, I think, to go very far and very high in business. There's not a lot of sentiment involved in it. I found that a much wider area to explore and make my playground, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Good, thanks.
Great answer. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Are you Mike or Matt? Aaron?
We haven't brought up Fogheart. Anyone have any thoughts on Fogheart? Oh. Can't hear you, sir.
Yep.
Can't hear me?
Now we can.
Oh.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Cool. Speaking of Fogheart and kind of playing on Patrick's question from earlier, and your experience when writing Rapture, I'm thinking the same thing when you're writing something in the supernatural. Did you have come across experiences or read something that inspired you to kind of to write in that realm?
Yes. Well, yes, on a couple of fronts there. My reading when I was growing up as a kid, I loved ghost stories. I loved horror stories. I was kind of a kid who grew up with the Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, all that stuff. I absolutely loved it. And so by the time I got to writing Fogheart, I really wanted to get back into or explore more the sort of paranormal ghost side of horror literature again. I'd spent Rapture and Secret Strangers more just on the human realistic level. So I wanted to get back in and see what I could do with some of the supernatural or paranormal. Who knows what exactly goes on in the mind of Una, the clairvoyant or fortune teller, however you want to describe her.
Great character. Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you very much. So I don't, yeah, it was, I definitely wanted to put that dimension back into it and see if it felt fresher to me after a few years of being away from it. I don't know if that answers your question, but feel free, Michael, to elaborate on it.
Well, I'm always interested in what experience, like the supernatural is so interesting to me, even though I have no direct experience with it. I'm always curious. I'm always hoping, as somebody that's searching for that experience, if any of the writers that explore that realm, if they've ever, we're all fans of ghost stories, but have you had a chance, or was there ever an experience, something that inspired, something that that made you want to write that stuff?
Have you seen any ghosts, Tom? Is that what you're asking?
No, that's good. That's a good point, though. I haven't had any experiences like that myself, but in the course of one exchange, I had conversation with Paul Giamatti, who is a great explorer of the paranormal, the unknown, the ghostly himself. He's an avid reader. And we both came to understand that we were in exactly the same place, which is that individually, neither Paul nor I have ever had any experience ourselves of, let's say, something ghostly or some kind of premonition that comes true, or some occult experience, except that a number of strange things have happened over the course of our lives where we have to say, I wonder, I don't know, I can't say. I can only tell you I haven't seen anything yet directly that would make me go to a seance, for instance, and expect to really hear the voice of someone who's deceased.
Interesting.
Yet, I think I've asked you this before, Tom, but I wanted to hear your answer again, is that yet fortune tellers and tarot card readers and psychics are a recurring theme in many of your stories. Why would that be after what you just said? Or what is it? It's still too, well, what were your comments beyond that?
Well, the Foghart was inspired partly by a book, a very short novel called Seance on a Wet Afternoon. And I love I think it's a wonderful, wonderful movie with Richard Attenborough. It's well worth looking up if you haven't seen it. And it's a very
What was it called again? Seance on what?
Seance on a Wet Afternoon.
Okay.
It was written by a novelist by the name of Mark Lovell, Lovell. And it made me think. When I read it, I thought that was really cool. I had a cheap little British paperback I picked up in a used store when I was living in London. And then years later, I saw the movie and was knocked out by the movie. It's so well done, in probably about 85 minutes in length.
Yeah.
And I started to think about that character of a clairvoyant, and I thought, first of all, at that time, there were not a lot of representations of it in horror literature that I had found. And so there might be a lot of room for me to work with there. The other thing, at the same time, I was fascinated by a true crime story from England that was not so well known here in the States, but was very well known in the UK where we were living. And that was the case of Mary Bell, who was a girl lived up near or in Newcastle in the north of England, very poor home, very difficult upbringing as a child. And I think she was about the age of 8 or 9, maybe 10, but I think single digits. And playing, and the kids in her neighborhood would play in what was really a expanse of rubble, I think left over from World War II, just bulldozed buildings, remains. Newcastle was a big, important shipyard, so it was bombed heavily during the war. And one day on the rock pile, Mary picked up a rock and bashed the head in of a 5-year-old child. And a few days later, well, the police had no idea who it was. Mary went home. They were searching everywhere, expecting they were looking for an adult who was a pedophile or something. Mary went back to the playground and killed another child. Same way. And well, she was found out then, and the entire country was mesmerized by what do you do with a 8 or 9-year-old child who commits such unbelievably heinous crimes. And so it became, it was an unbelievably big case in Britain at that time. And the long and short of it was that Mary was, I would say, imprisoned or remanded into custody until she reached the age of 21, I guess, and was going to be further detained, but it became kind of like you're up for parole. And she was released, I think, around the age of 22 or 23, and then has spent many years since then trying to avoid notoriety, changed her name, married somebody, I don't know. But I was not really interested in the rest of her life, or I was really interested in what could my character do if she had some sort of dark childhood, unusual childhood because she killed 2 children. And how does she remake her life after that? And I just kind of took off and said, okay, thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
And I took Una off to North America, and it occurred to me that it would not stretch the imagination too much to think that she had some capacity for either seeing in other people's behavior, reading into it, and doing something with it. And that's how she somehow came to get this reputation as a very, very must-see kind of clairvoyant. I'm not sure if that's very helpful, but that's the background where
No, well, sure.
my heart.
No, that's very interesting. That's very helpful. Wow, that's incredible. I really loved Fogheart, and I was when I had finished it, my first thought was like, wait a minute, how did this not win like the World Fantasy Award and the Bram Stoker? I was going back, I'm like, how did I? What took me this many years to read Fogheart? And I went on, I'm like, no, this needs to more people need to know what's going on here. Like these novels are way too incredible. You know, they're like oh, it was written in 1998, and there's these all this great newer stuff, but I'm like, no, this, like, you got to read this stuff. Like, it's too good, for.
I once brought it to Stuart Gordon of Reanimator and and he loved it and said, this is too hard to make into a movie.
Yeah.
But nowadays that a limited series is a thing. This Foghart feels like a limited series to me.
Yeah,
Thank-
that would be
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
that's
a Max one, or like a really good, like a Netflix,
the
like
Netflix
something
one.
like
Yeah, Mike
a high
Flanagan,
caliber.
as you said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would. Oh my God, that would be like a dream come true. That would sweep the Emmys, and just really masterful, and really love that one. And I was gonna say, while we were just talking on that, Foghart, that was the last one that we had read. We were gonna ask as a group, what you think, Tom, that our next book should be out of yours. We wanted to do it as you picking the next one for us. What you suggest? We've done Finishing Touches, Rapture, and Foghart. We've done those three. And what would you think would be the best next one to read as a group?
Okay, let me get to that in a minute. First of all, Patrick, to go back to what you said about how did Foghart not win a Stoker Award? I could tell you in 2 words: Steve King.
Oh,
Oh,
wait, Steve.
was it Bag of Bones?
Rings of Fame.
I think it was Bag of Bones that
Oh,
year.
I'll take Foghart every time.
Yeah, Bag of Bones is that is a good one from the King for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have to go with Foghart.
Well,
Come on.
It did win the International Horror Guild Award for Best Novel.
Yes, it did when that. I was just gonna say that. And didn't and what was it that Phantom had won? Was that the World Fantasy Award? I know
No,
Phantom.
it was Phantom was one of 2 finalists for the World Fantasy Award.
One of 2 finals.
Yeah, there's a little story to that too, if you're interested.
Yes, I would love to hear.
2 of the judges of the World Fantasy Award sought me out afterwards to tell me that they had voted. There were 5 judges for that World Fantasy Award, and 2 other judges had voted for Mike Shea's novel Nift the Lean, which is more fantasy than Phantom is, maybe. And the third and deciding judge was the wife of the publisher of Mike Shea's novel Nift the Lean.
Oh,
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What's
So,
up with that?
not a great look, but anyhow, Mike Shea was actually a wonderful writer. So,
Interesting.
totally worthy. But to go back to your question, you've read Foghart and Rapture and
Finishing Touches was the first. So we've done 3. I've read a few others on my own, but yeah. Oh, Chris is getting out books here.
Which one you picked? I know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, Nightwalk is up there. Sorry, the damn blurry thing is not working. There we go.
That's okay.
All right, let's see. What are we gonna pick? Here's something.
There you go.
Oh, see, is this all of them? See, Nightwalker.
See if I see
I
all
got a
those
few different.
editions.
Oh, you know what? While we're talking on your books, Tom, on as a big collector here of trying to get all the editions of all of them, on Secret Strangers, was that ever released in any form of a paperback, of a mass market paperback?
Yeah, I have it.
Or just the hardcovers, the 2 hardcovers of it?
Gee, I thought I had a copy of it in paperback. I'm looking. Am I wrong, Tom?
I'm not sure.
Secret Strange. It's the one I have.
That's
This
the
one,
UK.
the McDonald.
Yeah,
the
that's
UK.
British edition.
And then there's the other hardcover with that has like the gun on the the front, right? That's also
Yeah, that was Dark Harvest published that.
yeah. Dark Harvest was that hardcover,
Yes, it
and
was.
then yeah,
Yeah.
I've been looking for the last few years. I've never seen the a paperback of Secret Strangers. I was just curious on that one.
Yeah, I don't, now that you mention it, I don't, I think there might have been a British paperback.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it came out here. It's not
Hold
gonna,
on, I have it. I'm holding it. I'm bringing it here. 1 second.
okay.
Oh man, now I'm gonna be jealous. Ooh,
Ooh, who's publisher, Chris?
I will tell you in a
is
second.
that a
Futura
Fontana?
Publications.
Futura?
Futura.
That's the British paperback, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. that is
No problem.
that's a beauty. All right, Chris.
Yeah.
Let me
There's
give
so
you my
many,
address.
Okay.
That's so cool.
Speaking of
It's
which, can I see
interesting.
the third Nightwalker down? I think that's a version I haven't seen on your stack. You have 3 Nightwalkers there. What's the third one? The thicker one?
Wait, these are
the
the
one
thicker.
that,
No, the thicker one's the leisure
That one I know. The
edition, and then I got the Signet,
yeah,
the first
I
mass
love that
market,
cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
and then this one was the Berkeley one, the most recent one.
Oh, right. Okay.
They came out later, like 88 or 89.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
the Signet was there, and then there's also the Fontana. I don't have it. I have.
Mhm.
I think I've sold it or I gave it away at one point. There's the UK of the Nightwalker too. I need to get that one back.
oh, that was Pan. Yeah.
Yeah, Pan was the British.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one has the really cool artwork and font too.
Yeah.
On your designs, I was gonna ask about the motif of the blinds, and like and if that was if that's usually an intentional thing from you, like in Rapture and
yeah.
Secret Strangers. There's the blinds or a knife peeking through.
I even used it for the Blanca art for Paul Giamatti looking through the blinds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it just seemed appropriate.
yeah, totally. I love it. I love the aesthetic, like seeing them all together. It's so cool, like artistically appealing.
I appreciate your mentioning that because I've had more Venetian blinds on books.
That's
I
so cool.
have to point out, nowhere in any of my writing itself is there a blind, a Venetian of any kind, much as somebody peering through them. Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. That is, yeah, it's a really interesting touch. I love as much as I mean I love reading them, but you know, as a collector too, they're beautiful books to collect. Just yeah. So yeah, which do you think we should take it back to, like the Nightwalker or Phantom or Secret Strangers?
Definitely the Nightwalker and Phantom. And
yes,
there's another one that I would mention that is actually available in my selected stories, World of Hurt. It was first published by Subterranean as part of their series of short novels.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called Father Panic's Opera Macabre.
Got that one.
yeah.
Got that one? Yeah, you guys have that one too?
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
Yep,
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's in World of Hurt as well, right? The
Yeah.
in the big paperback of
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, there's two novellas in the back of World of Hurt, right? Scramsburg, USA, and
Luxembourg,
Father
yeah.
Panic's Opera Macabre.
Yeah.
yes.
I think it's also in the newer mass market paperback finishing touches.
Touches. You're right. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
that's where I read it.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
That was,
I do like that, how Leisure, like it on all three of them, how they included a novella on there, like the Dreams of Dr. Ladybank on the Nightwalker.
That's the other one. Sorry, 3. That's right. Dreams of Dr. Ladybank.
Yeah, that is it's been really interesting in the process of rounding them up, you know, the entire works. But it seems like from what I gather, like World and Hurt encapsulates just about all of your short stories from previous collections, like all the different anthologies and
I mean,
Like-
there's still quite a few missing. He doesn't get all of them. You'll
No,
have to
you're
get-
right. You're right. There are a lot more that are not in that, but yes.
Okay.
He has
Uh,
other collections. Ghost Music and Other Tales has some in there. You know them
Yeah.
better than I do, Tom. But
yeah, but there are a couple from Ghost Music that are not in World of Hurt.
right.
Oh, okay.
Same thing with
That's
others.
interesting.
And then I've written a number of stories since then that, you know, I will be putting together in a new collection. Hopefully next
Wonderful.
year. Yeah.
Oh, really? That's
Oh.
awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next. Was what was coming up the pipeline? What we could hope for?
Well,
great.
mostly I've been working on short work, shorter work stories, one or two of which might turn out to be novellas. And I have
Nice.
I have a novel I'm working on as well. So
Oh, great.
recently, I'll just show you. I do that last month for Halloween. This anthology, I don't know if you can see it, came out called Fear of Clowns.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I have seen that.
yeah,
I need to get that.
I have a new story in that one.
Oh, wonderful. Fear of Clowns. Okay. Yeah. I need to get that on my next order for sure.
Yes,
That's
some
great. And you said a new novel in the works as well as some shorts?
I've been working on it a long time. Let's put it that way. So
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. That makes my heart happy. I'm so excited to hear that, and greatly look forward to it, and everything that you do. Just a really big fan. That's so awesome.
thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Matt or Aaron, did you guys want to say anything? Any questions or?
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to commend you on how well you write a psychopath because for me, I think Jack Ketchum had it at up here, and then you're the only one that has come even close to touching that. So
Thank you very much. That means a lot more to me than you might imagine because Jack, whose real name was Dallas Mayer,
mhm.
Was a dear friend of mine, much missed. I spent a lot of time with him on various occasions. He was a terrific guy, absolute inspiration. One of the writers who really inspired me and encouraged me. And so many of his books are absolutely horrible to go through.
Yeah.
They're so powerful, so well written.
Yes.
I could talk about Jack all day, so let it go.
What?
I appreciate it. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry to butt in. I was just gonna say, do you have a favorite of Dallas Jack Ketchum's work, of his novels?
Oh gosh, yeah. All the off season, the girl next door. I love his short stories in Peaceful Kingdom.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, he was so special.
yeah. Never. I've never really disappointed by anything he wrote. And it's, you know, the more people write, the more often you're going to have a story or even maybe a novel that just doesn't hit right, or you don't feel you did quite your best with it. I never had that sensation reading Jack's work.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I've been a big fan of his, and I had the honor to meet him once at Dark Delicacies in Burbank here at in 2009, and he was about the nicest guy I think I ever met. That had like all the time in the world for everybody. Of just smiles and hugs, and just the most like the likable guy in the room. Like he was kind of like the rock star, but not the rock star personality. He was so down to earth, but he was just like so cool though. Like he was really special too. Yeah, for sure. That one, and his passing, and Peter Straub a few years ago hit me really hard too. I know he was a dear friend of yours as well, right?
Peter was the best friend of my life for the last, since 1970 we met in a pub in Dublin. Yeah.
Yeah, he was
he really encouraged me to write right after he sold his first horror novel, Julia. Well, we had talked about horror a lot, and his first two novels were what you might probably call sort of literary novels,
yeah,
people's troubled marriages, it was
uh,
called.
yeah, and Under Venus and
Under Venus
Marriages.
was the second one, yeah.
Yeah,
And he was really at a loss, and I was encouraging him to look at horror, what we called it the Gothic then, because it seemed to include wider parameters, greater scope to work in, not just at that time. Nobody really published a book and called it a horror story. Things like The Haunting of Hill House, Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, they never had the word horror on the label or in the publisher's catalogs. They were
wow.
they were blockbusters. They were bestsellers.
Oh, okay.
And it
That,
really wasn't until Steve came along and started writing bestsellers, especially Salem's Lot after Carrie, and then The Shining, that publishers in the UK and in the United States started saying, yeah, it's horror. There's no problem. We can sell horror. Guess what?
yeah, it's selling. Yeah, this is selling pretty highly. Yeah, but when
Yeah.
Stephen King came out, yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Yeah, I always did you ever did I'm sorry to bounce around a little bit, but speaking of like Peter Straub and I know like him and it seemed like Ramsey Campbell was also a good friend of yours and an
Yeah.
inspiration as well. Like those are two of my favorite writers as well. I was wondering if you had ever talked about collaboration project, like how Stephen King and Peter Straub with The Talisman, or if there was ever an author collaboration you had talked about in the past.
No.
No.
Is a
Okay.
short
Yeah.
answer. I remember talking with Peter about it at the time, and I said to him, because Peter's style of writing and his command of language was something I thought rather different from what Steve did. And I said, and Peter was very excited about it, of course, who wouldn't be? And he said, "Oh, we've talked about that a lot, and we're really comfortable. We can work. Each of us will write one chapter and send it to the other, and you write the next chapter, and on that way." And then they kind of edited, smoothed out any, rough seams or whatever.
Right.
But that at the time did not. First of all, I never thought I could collaborate with anybody. It just didn't have the same appeal for me.
Right. Yeah. Completely understand. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have do you have like a certain a list of your favorite horror writers like of all time? Do you have like a top top three or top five like all time like your personal favorites?
Let's say since World War II, when was it 1949? When did The Haunting of Hill House come out? 49, 50,
50s? Yeah, was
somewhere
it 50s?
early
Yeah.
50s.
Okay.
I would say Shirley Jackson and Stephen King and Peter Straub are right at the top of my list.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
but really, it's listing it by number, I think, is kind of meaningless because so many wonderful writers have emerged over the years. And every one that I can think of that I've read, I've really enjoyed because they're the ones that I've gone back to.
Yeah.
But at some point, Valancourt is just putting out a whole bunch of reissues of Robert Bloch. And those stories, those novels are so well worth reading again. And I think too many people who are horror fans, I think they kind of draw a blank on Block beyond Psycho. That's what they know, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I could go on and give you a whole bunch of names. The
Sure.
horror writer I really liked was someone else I had the chance to meet before he unfortunately passed away. Two of them, Rick Hotela from Maine and Tom Piccirilli from Colorado. Both, I think, were wonderful writers, and I loved their work. I wouldn't know where to put anybody in
Hard
numeric.
to, yeah. Like a ranking or yeah.
I,
I'm sure there's so many that
you
yeah.
know, I love Clive Barker, but
Yeah.
mostly for the Books of Blood, and but it's a different kind of horror there.
Right. Yeah. A whole different, yeah. Barker's kind of like his own whole other like realm, you know. He's got his own kind of lane,
Exactly.
totally. He's
Yeah.
so great, but it's hard to like, it's like how do you rank like a Peter Straub and a or a Jack Ketchum and a Clyde Barker of such different worlds, you know, but so wonderful. That's what I had. It's hard for me to kind of like try to do it as numbers too. I was just meaning like some of like your favorites, you know, throughout the time, you know, that really stand out to you, and
So
that's so good to hear.
I started with all the writers that came after World War II. Just to go back beyond that, at an early age, I think relatively early, as a teenager or something, I read Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu, absolutely loved it, and I've been a huge fan of Le Fanu's ever since, and that whole group of writers that primarily in the UK and Ireland came afterwards, Walter Mackin, the whole M.R. James kind of school of ghost stories. I absolutely love that. And yeah, you mentioned Ramsey as well. For 7 years, I lived in London. I was the director of a small publishing company called Millington Books. And we had a small science fiction line, and I introduced a horror line. I published Ramsey's first novel, The Doll Who Ate His Mother, was the first UK hardcover edition. Wow. That's how I met Ramsey.
Oh, okay.
And I published two more collections of his short stories. One collection of short stories, The Height of the Scream, and another one of his novels. And we became really good friends. He introduced me to friends of his, Carl Edward Wagner.
Yeah, big fan of him too. Yeah.
Manly Wade Wellman, who was an elderly writer from the days of the pulps.
Oh yeah.
And and Ramsey was very encouraging of my writing. He inspired me because he was just such a hard worker. And and he was so devoted to horror, like a priest in the priesthood in a way.
Yeah. I could see that, and reading like more of his work and stuff, and just kind of like the more I gather of Ramsey Campbell as a fan, he seems like a workhorse, and just like the face of like horror. Like he's just like he just breathes it, like encapsulates it fully.
Well, his story is incredible because he was 17 or 16 years old or something like that in Liverpool. And he writes a short story and he sends it off to August Derleth in Wisconsin because Derleth was a Lovecraft friend and publisher.
Oh, okay.
And Derleth accepted the story for publication in one of the Arkham House magazines or anthologies. And he published Ramsey's first book, a collection of stories, The Inhabitant of the Lake, when Ramsey was like 18 years old.
Wow.
And it's just a remarkable story. And I think this year he's actually celebrating his 60th year of publishing since he was a teenager.
Wow. 60th. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's yeah, he's remarkable. He's another one. I mention him like specifically because I see like, you know, in seeing like the blurbs in there, I could tell your guys' kind of inspiration and admiration for
Yeah.
each other in reading both of your novels. Like
Yeah.
very big fan of both of your writing, your level of inspiration. Like they both seem to like shine like with each other. Built
Yeah.
like you guys kind of really cool, like great writer.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. How about Matt, did you want to ask anything?
Tom, I don't have a question per se specifically, but just one of the things that I appreciate so much personally when I read your books is I'm from Northwestern Connecticut.
No
Um,
kidding.
So the landmarks for me, and the first book I read of yours was actually The Fates, because someone told me this guy's from Waterbury, and his goal when writing the book was to like burn down his hometown.
I'm from Watertown, Connecticut. I know the
Oh,
feeling.
okay, yeah. So
Well,
it's just
it was actually, Matt, it was actually the town of Naugatuck,
Naugatuck. Oh, okay.
which is right next to Waterbury.
Yep.
And I was born in Waterbury, grew up in Naugatuck. And so I think at some point somebody said to me, when I was writing The Fates, and I said, I'm almost finished with my first novel. You know, and they said, what's it about? And I said, I destroy my hometown.
Yeah, so it's always same thing, you know, when I was reading Rapture, just getting to see those landmarks from, you know, the
Right.
small little corner of the world is always nice. So
What town were you
appreciate that.
from?
I'm from Torrington.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm from Torrington.
Just up Route 8.
Well. Yeah. Yeah, you're just up Route 8 from me.
Yep.
I used to play basketball in Torrington every weekend with Tom's son.
Oh, wow.
We go up there at the court behind the gas station, Cumberland Farms.
Oh, yeah.
How funny. Chris, are you have you been friends with the family with Sam, his son, for a
I
long
grew up
time?
with Sam. Yeah, since we were children. We were on a soccer team together when I think I was 7, he was 8. And
Oh, okay.
we've been friends ever since. And yeah, we're still close today. So I got
That's
to sit in
awesome.
that room you guys are looking at, his writing basement, hang out with
Yeah.
Sam and Tom and drink his homemade beer and talk horror when I was in high school.
That is so cool.
It was
That is
very
awesome.
cool.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Very cool. Let's see. Did anyone else want to say anything? I didn't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate all of it. I just yeah. If anyone else any closing thoughts or ideas or anything?
Did you guys decide what we wanted to? Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Sorry, yeah. My friend Madeline just read Finishing Touches, and it was her first book of yours that she's read, and she said she's hooked now, and she was wondering if you had any stories about living in London that might have inspired either the locations, like the weird bar, or any eccentric characters that might have had anything to do with that.
Oh, that's a good question. I like that. Yes. Well, we lived, as I said, 7 years in London, and my wife and I both really loved the city. One of the great things about London then, I'm not sure what it's like now, probably much the same, but different, is a great city for walking around in. And where I lived, I could walk to the office where I worked at Millington Books in about an hour. And so on the days when it was not rainy and not cold or windy, I would take a long walk and go to the office. And it was the way I would go was my route would take me right through Kensington Park and Hyde Park. And there's so much history in those places and in the whole city of London. It's just fabulous. So there are mentions of in the Night Walker of a lot of places in London, including through Hyde Park, and the various monuments. I loved reading about the history of London and the strange aspects of it. So when I got to finishing touches, well, first of all, in the Night Walker, I used the fact that I discovered that, or read somewhere that there are a large number of underground rivers in London that were basically just paved over to become streets. But the rivers still flow underneath the streets. So I made use of that in a rather improbable episode in The Night Walker. Hyde Park itself, big, beautiful, huge park full of families and kids playing on sunny days. Underneath Hyde Park, large parts of Hyde Park, there are vast burial grounds where during the assorted plagues, the Great Plague that hit London, thousands of bodies were buried in quicklime. And I think I made use of that in finishing touches.
The pit.
So yeah, I love London, love the history, and it's very rich. It's not
I
sure
learned
that.
so much about London. Just I'm terrified to go there now because all I know of it is what you've said.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just
It sounds scary. Yeah.
let me just add that yes, I had occasion various people would. One thing in London, a lot of people would join clubs, private clubs, and it goes back hundreds of years. And in the modern era, like when we were living there, a lot of those clubs had just purely become economical if you had the money to be a member. And it was probably because places like the Playboy Club had moved in and set up for business. So yeah, I drew on the fact that there was a vibrant club life in London in finishing touches, but and my own experience being taken to a few uh, such clubs was uh, really pretty routine. They might have exotic dancers and they would overcharge drastically for the drinks, but that was about it. Nothing like the club in finishing touches.
Well, I'm definitely not going then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that place was crazy. I could still like picture that club and finishing touch. The amount of description and there and the huge glasses of vodka and the naked and almost like a little bit like Eyes Wide Shut or something. Like
Yeah.
I kind of picture a sort of it has a really distinct feel. Like just really brilliant setting and finishing touches.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
And that the feathers comes back again in one of your short stories, doesn't it, Tom? I can't remember the name of it at the moment. In World of Hurt.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just can't remember what it is.
I don't think
anyway,
I read the feathers again. Interesting though.
the feathers
it
is
comes
the
back.
name of the club, and it's the two
Yeah.
characters are feathers makes a reprise of appearance in World of Hurt.
Nice.
You'll know it when you see it.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll be on the lookout. Definitely. How cool. Let's see. Is there anything else anyone else wanted to share or ask? Or I just didn't want to like take up all the time like talking and babbling away. So
Did we decide to
Did
go
we-
Nightwalker first and Phantom second? Is that the order they were written in? Tom?
Nightwalker, yes, was my second novel.
Right.
Phantom was my third.
Phantom was third. The Fates was first, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. The Fates, Nightwalker, Phantom were the first three in that order. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You think? What do you say? Should we go for the Nightwalker next for a group read?
All good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. The Nightwalker.
The Nightwalker it
Everyone
is.
down? All right. All right. The Nightwalker is awesome. I read this was my second one, and that was the one I read the fastest. I think I read it in like a night, and I'm like really slow. I think I stayed up till like 3 or 4 and like had to finish it. So that's awesome. Nightwalker is really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah, if everyone's all set, I guess we'll go ahead and end it here. And I just wanted to thank you again so much, Tom, for your time and your courtesy and being here with us today. Like this really means a lot, and just wanted to thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you all very much for your interest and for your good questions and good company.
Yes,
Really, I really enjoyed talking with all of you.
Oh, and look,
that
he was
means a
here.
lot.
He or she was here the whole time.
Hey,
Oh, we got
Hey.
a dog. Oh, that's adorable.
beautiful.
Beauty.
I thought.
Beautiful.
All
He's a
right,
fan.
everyone. Well,
Nice to meet you guys. Thank you. This was fun.
Yeah,
nice
thank
nice
you.
to see everyone here in
Take
person.
care.
And
Thank you,
thank you,
Michael,
Tom.
Aaron, Matt, Fletcher, Chris. We'll talk soon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Take care.
we'll talk. All right, thank you. Have a good one,
Yeah.
everyone.
Patrick,
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, yes.
Patrick, thank
Patrick.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, guys. I was super nervous and had no clue what I'm doing. So, I just want to thank you all again. You know, just sharing my love of this and just kind of going from the gut. And I'll be a fan for life and promoting these works. And yeah, thank you, sir.
You bet.
Talk to you.
Take care.
All right, bye, you guys. Thank
Bye-bye
you.
now.
Okay, bye bye. Do I know what to do?